All right, let's start by unpacking our supplies. You should have a circuit template card with 2 circuits drawn on it. You should also have some copper conducting tape, 2 small batteries, and a bag of light emitting diodes or LEDs. Now the copper conducting tape has a back to it that needs to be peeled off so that you can get to the sticky part of the tape. Both sides of the copper tape are conductive, meaning they will allow electricity to flow, but you have to peel off that white part there to get to the sticky part of the copper tape. We're going to be doing this a lot, and it takes a little bit of time, so just be patient with it. You were also given 2 dime batteries, both 3 volts, and keep these away from pets and small children. You do not want them putting them in their mouth or swallowing them. If they do, call 911 immediately. Now, just like any other battery, these batteries have a positive side, the plus, and a negative side, the minus, although they don't put a negative on the battery itself. We're going to start by redrawing our circuits so that we can make them a little bit shorter. This won't affect the circuit at all, but it will allow us to save some of our copper tape. Since we've crossed out the bulb at the top of the circuit, I'm going to go ahead and add a new bulb into this circuit right about here. I'm going to do the same thing to the other circuit, and since I'm crossing out a bulb up there, I'm going to add another bulb right about here. I want to make sure that you know that even though the circuits are smaller, the configuration of the circuits has not changed. In other words, they're the same circuits, just shorter. Pay close attention to where the plus or positive symbols are in the circuit. Notice that they are all on the same side of each light in that circuit, which is also the same side of the circuit where the positive end of the circuit is. This will be hugely important when we hook up our LED lights. We're going to start building the series circuit or single loop circuit. We're going to start at the negative end of the circuit. To start, we're going to measure out an approximate length of our tape by putting the tape on the first line and ripping the tape where that line ends. We then need to peel the backing off of the tape so that we can stick it down on the paper. Peel just a little bit so that you can first stick a small portion of it down on the paper. If you try to pull it all off at once, it's going to coil on you and it gets really messy. You may not be able to pull the tape apart once it's coiled up on itself. Once you've stuck the end down, keep pulling the backing off of the tape and pushing it down on the paper to stick it to the paper. Now you might notice that I wasn't exactly on the line, and that's okay. The lines are just a guide. If you miss the line a little bit, the circuit can still work as long as you hook it up correctly. Now go ahead and pull out one of your LEDs and look at it. You'll notice one of the legs is longer. That's the positive leg. The shorter one is the negative leg, and this is really important. An LED stands for light emitting diode, and a diode is an electrical component that only lets electricity flow in one direction. Now you don't have to do this, but it might make it easier to work with. Put a slight bend in the legs of the LED so that when you set it on the paper, it will sit flatter. You might also want to pull the leads apart just a little bit, and you'll see why. Now go ahead and place the LED on your circuit paper. One of the legs is going to get taped down by the copper tape in our next step. As you did previously, tape down the end of the copper tape and slowly pull the white backing off. When you get near the LED, keep the tape off the paper, place the leg of the LED on the paper, and then put the copper tape over the leg, taping it down to the paper. Make sure that the leg that you are taping down is the negative or shorter leg, since this is the negative side of the circuit. Make sure to leave a gap so that current has to flow through the lamp to continue through the circuit. Go ahead and grab another LED to set up for the other side of the circuit. The next piece of copper tape that we cut is going to be for that long edge along the top of the circuit, and that piece of tape is actually going to hold down a leg on both of the LEDs. Again, make sure the long leg of the LED is pointed towards the positive side of the circuit. Don't forget to tape down the positive leg of this LED on this end and the negative leg of the other LED on the other end. Your circuit should look something like this. Notice where each bulb is, there's a gap in the tape so that current has to flow through the bulbs to get through the circuit. This is hugely important. Now we're going to make our switch. We're going to start by folding at the dotted line, but we're not just going to fold, we're going to kind of roll, and I'll show you why in just a moment. But try to roll it so that the fold isn't just a fold, but actually kind of a curve. So almost make kind of a half circle out of your paper. Now the reason we're doing this is so that the correct parts of the circuit touch the correct parts of the battery. The bottom of the battery is negative and the sides and the top of the battery are positive. If the negative end of the circuit touches the positive end of the battery terminal, that's bad because both parts of the circuit are touching the positive end of the battery. There's no potential difference. By folding the way we did, we're ensuring the correct parts of the circuit touch the correct parts of the battery. It's now time to connect our voltage source. So we're going to take the battery, and we need to make sure that the positive end of the battery is touching the positive end of the circuit. To do this, we need to flip our battery upside down and place it on the positive side of the circuit. We're going to use two batteries to make sure that we have enough voltage to light both lights. Now when we fold over, the negative portion of the circuit touches the negative part of the battery. We have completed the circuit, which means current is going to flow from the battery through the circuit to the other end of the battery. Now we're going to build our parallel or multi-loop circuit. We'll use the same methods that we used for our series circuit. Follow along by using the video, pausing when necessary. You can put the tape in any order starting in any part of the circuit, as long as you put the bulbs in correctly and leave gaps, and all of the portions of the circuit are completed, the circuit should work properly. Now mistakes might happen, like I did here. I forgot to put the bulb when I pushed the tape down. But that's okay, this tape's pretty easy to work with, and if you are gentle enough, you can pull it back enough to get the leg underneath a piece of tape and put it back down on the paper. If one or more of your lights doesn't light properly, check all of the connections, including the corners of the tape. Push down firmly to make sure that the tape is attached to the leads of the LEDs, as well as where the tape is attached to other parts of the tape. You'll probably find that there was just a loose connection.